friends, in our time together today, I want to work a little bit on the Harvest Home hornpipe that we recently learned, and I'll throw a card up at the top so you could do that. I've already walked us through the tune. What I want to do today is actually give you some recommendations on practicing this tune, and the recommendations that will help you practice the tune are recommendations that will help you memorize the tune. I'll get back to that. So, you are learning the tune, and remember the first thing to do, and my MK Pro is a little cold. I normally or always use my Howard when I'm doing this and my Wild Irish, and I thought nothing could replace my Howard. I love it, but I need to use some of those other whistles as well when I'm doing some of these demos so that you could hear them some too, more than just in my introduction. So I'm using the MK Pro. This is Pro Day, the MK Pro and my Shush Pro. So when you have a metal whistle, you really need to warm it up. You're going to get some condensation. So I warmed this a little bit, but not adequately. So I'm expecting a little condensation. So what I do is I start looking at a tune, and I'll start playing it at a pretty slow pace, and I'll accentuate the rhythm, especially with something like a hornpipe. And I'll play it through and just trying to get that. And if I can't feel myself wanting to sway to it, then I go back and I try that again. And I really try and get some swaying in, because that's a hornpipe wants to do that. Now, I told you I'd get some condensation. So what I do is, when I'm first learning a tune, I'll take that first measure, because I need to learn it up to speed, and to think through the A part. We talked about this in the walkthrough. There aren't a lot of sections that you're going to need. You don't need to learn every measure. You learn a measure, and then that measure is repeated somewhere else. So that opening measure, just play that and then do it again. And then I might even start thinking, how do I want to ornament that? Is there a way I want to ornament it? Or is the rhythm the ornamentation? I'm not real sure yet. And then I'll walk into, from that, once I'm happy with that measure, I walk into and then begin working on the next measure. Now do that some, then stitch them together, go back and do that again. And then that next measure, which is the I'll run that some. And I'll just run it until I start getting comfortable. And then, you guessed it, I go back and stitch it together. So I'm getting comfortable with that. And all the time I'm thinking, is there some way I can accentuate that rhythm? Then I get to the triplet runs. Needs to be cleaner. Nope. And I want it so my fingers know what to do. So I'll keep working on that. Then stitch it together. Now, the next verse, the next measure, I don't have to learn because it's how the tune starts. The same with the measure after that. So my fingers already expect. Then my fingers know the beginning of the next measure, but I need to do something a little different because it starts leading into the end up to the repeat. So I have to pay attention to this one. And I might mess around with some things there. You've got a lot of options. You've got more space in which to throw some ornaments there. Then stitch it together. Okay, like I said, it's Pro Day. So the Shush Pro for the B part. Interestingly, I'm going to ignore the first 2 1/4 measures. Listen to the last number of measures of the B part. Sound familiar? Yes, it is the exact same sequence out of the A part. So when you get to the B part, if you have learned each measure of the A part and you have stitched them together, that is actually a function of seating memory. You get to the B part, all you have to learn is and that's not that much more. So you've got, remember when you entered the tune, the lead-in note were 2 notes. However you want to do that. So, but when you finish the repeat on the A part, it's however you want to ornament or flourish that. Then you're at the D. Just easy to go to the C sharp. So that's what you're doing. So get that, stitch that, get that together. Okay, and go back and practice that measure. Do it different ways, accentuate the rhythm, and then start thinking, okay, I could tongue those 3 A's. And I've heard a lot of people doing that because it's a little punchy. Or throw a variety of other ornaments in. However you want to do that. Cut it, tap it, roll it, tongue it. Then you've learned that measure. That's not bad. Then you add the next measure, which is just sort of a variation on the theme. And there we've got the 3 A's again. Experiment with different ways of expressing it. And then you're back to so learn each piece. Learn the one next to it. Stitch them together and play them all. Play both of them. Learn the next one. Keep the measures married together. So if you don't want to go back and play the whole tune, you could go a few measures before. Like maybe the intro to, like if you're working on, you could then, rather than go back, you just start at the B part. However you want to do that. But when you do that stitching together, you're actually creating connections in your brain and fingers between those measures. So you're not just learning that measure in isolation. I could learn I lost the rhythm. I could learn that, but if it doesn't connect to anything, then it doesn't naturally lead another verse into it and another measure out of it. So work on those things. Get the tune in your brain and then start messing around with it. Ornament it. Stay with the rhythm. Play it as you like. Push your speed a little bit and then back it off. I will actually sometimes, I know I said learn it at the pace you can and then improve it, but when you try and play it a little faster, that's a stretch. So if I want to play it at this speed, I will often then push myself to a speed above that so that the speed at which I want to play it is not my ceiling, which means I'm more comfortable to ornament because I'm not at the edge of my capability. So I hope this little walkthrough and conversation about learning a tune was helpful, my friends. Until next time, this is Scott Shade. Happy whistling!